So tell us a little bit about your book.
The book is about a woman named Faith who is in an abusive marriage, and she goes on a spiritual journey to try to find out what has happened, what is going to happen, and trying to determine how best to make her life better.
And how did she, what was her journey? How did she discover how to improve her life?
She would do meditations, and she would be able to access the other side, and she would talk to her guide spirits, and the guide spirits would help show her some of her past lives. But she was in charge of her own destiny, and she had to decide on her own what these stories she was given meant and how she could improve her life through those.
So how would she go about meditating to reach the other side?
She went through a process. She would do some yoga meditation, kind of lay in the starfish position, and she would just relax her entire body. She'd start with her feet, her legs, her hands, her arms, her torso, her neck, her face, her eyes, and she would look at colors. She would see colors in her mind. Usually she'd start with color white and then move to green and blue and red and purple, and that would allow her to transcend and cross the veil, as they say, to the other side.
Now, when she got to the other side, did she meet anyone she knew, or different guys?
She would often see her maternal grandmother, but sometimes people would come to her on this side in dreams, and she would see family members there. But when she first crossed over to the other side, she met her guide spirit. Her name was Galadriel. And Galadriel was the one, along with some other advisors, who counseled her, and that was the main person who helped her on this journey.
Well, when you say counsel, how did they counsel her? Like, what would they say?
Galadriel would take her hand, and they would go back in time to different lives, and she would show her what was going on, and Faith would be allowed to ask questions, and she would get some of the answers. For example, the first big time she went back over to the other side, and she was questioning why she would constantly wake in the middle of the night as if she was being choked to death. And then she burned a piece of toast, and the piece of toast brought back this horrible memory of her lying at the foot of a staircase and burning to death. So she asked Galadriel to show her what that life was like. And she had been a woman whose name was Margaret, and she lived in Boston during the 1860s. I believe she was born in 1811 and she died in 1861. And we go through the story of Margaret and how similar things had happened. And basically, Galadriel showed her how she died in that life. And she died by a man grabbing her necklace and pulling her down the steps, strangling her with the necklace, and then setting fire to the house. So she was able to see why she was having these constant nightmares about being choked to death. Galadriel explained it to her as if they were cell memories. The body, the cells in the body tend to remember how you've died if you've died in a traumatic accident or you're murdered. And Galadriel just basically showed her this lifetime, and she started comparing it to some of her current situations.
So these are memories of her past lives then?
This is memories of Faith's past lives, yes. She's shown them by Galadriel, yes. Galadriel, she first met Galadriel by walking into what's called the Hall of Records. And in the Hall of Records, there's a room filled with many, many scrolls. And Galadriel pointed out Faith's area, how many scrolls were there. And she wouldn't show her all the records. She would only show her one at a time, and only if she needed to know. And she would typically have a scroll with her and unroll it and read what had happened in that lifetime for Faith.
Did you experience similar things to Faith?
For a time I wouldn't wear necklaces, and I was having choking sensation, like someone was trying to choke me with a necklace. And that's kind of what sparked the idea of putting that into the book.
So some of the book is you?
Some of the book is me, some of the book is total fiction, some of the book is kind of a compressing of time and events. Yes. I think any writer uses experiences that they've had to help make the book seem more believable. Hi, I hope you've enjoyed this interview. You can buy my book, Circles in Time, at tatepublishing.com, amazon.com, or barnesandnobles.com.